The transport shuttle cut through the purple atmosphere like a blade through silk. Liam Hayes had his face pressed against the small window, watching the orbital ring grow larger with each passing second. Other passengers filled the cramped space around him, creatures with scales, fur, extra limbs, and colors he had never seen on Earth. Their translators created a constant hum of overlapping conversations in a dozen languages. This was really happening. He was going to train at the Galactic Defense Academy. 3 months ago, Liam had been working at his father's repair shop in Nevada, fixing engines and wondering if life would ever be more than dusty roads and small-town gossip. Then the recruiters came. Earth had been accepted into the Galactic Coalition, and they needed representatives. Young people willing to learn, to serve, to show humanity's potential among the stars. Liam had signed up the same day. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud. Artificial gravity took over, and Liam felt his stomach settle. Something felt different, lighter somehow, but he figured it was just nerves making everything feel strange. He grabbed his single bag and followed the flow of cadets through the airlock. Eaton Station sprawled before him in impossible directions. Corridors curved upward and sideways, defying everything his earthbound brain expected. Signs glowed in multiple scripts, most of which his translator chip converted into English text hovering at the edge of his vision. Cadets of every imaginable species moved through the space with purpose, wearing uniforms in various configurations to accommodate different body types. First time off-world? A voice spoke beside him in accented English. Liam turned to find a being with 4 arms, pale blue skin, and large, dark eyes watching him with obvious amusement. The translator had already identified the species, Quiloth from a world called Paran. That obvious? Liam asked. You have the look. Wide eyes, slow movements, checking gravity with each step. All 4 hands gestured expressively. I am Terran, you must be one of the humans. There are only 3 of you this cycle. Liam. Yeah, Earth just joined recently. Earth. Terran tested the word. The planet with the excessive water coverage, correct? Come, we are in the same barracks unit. I will show you the way. They walked through winding corridors while Terran talked constantly, pointing out important locations and offering unsolicited advice about which instructors to avoid. Other cadets joined them along the way. A reptilian female with emerald scales introduced herself as Ressa, her voice crisp and formal. An insectoid creature named Dov communicated through clicks that the translator rendered as precise, economic sentences. The barracks were simple but functional. Rows of bunks lined the walls, each adapted for different species. Some were elevated, others recessed into the floor. A few filled with liquid for aquatic beings. Equipment lockers stood at attention beside each sleeping space. That one is yours. Terran pointed to a standard-looking bunk near the viewport. Human specifications, they told us. Looks rather basic. Liam dropped his bag and sat on the firm mattress. Everything felt slightly off, like he was moving through water that wasn't quite there. He bounced once, testing the bed, and nearly launched himself upward. His hand shot out to catch himself. Ressa watched this with narrow eyes. Control your movements, human. This is a military installation, not a playground. Sorry. Liam trailed off, uncertain how to explain that everything felt wrong in a way he couldn't define. First day nerves. Terran said generously. We all had them. Tomorrow begins physical training. You should rest well tonight. The afternoon passed in a blur of orientation briefings. A massive being called Commander Hallex, built like a tank with 4 legs and arms thick as tree trunks, addressed the assembled cadets in a voice that rattled the walls. He was Bragan, one of the Coalition's elite warrior species, and he made it clear that weakness would not be tolerated. You come from different worlds, different cultures, different biologies, Hallex growled. Here you become one unit. Here you learn to fight, to survive, to protect the Coalition's citizens. Tomorrow you begin standard loadout familiarization. Sleep well, cadets. You will need your strength. Back in the barracks that evening, Liam tried to settle into his new reality. Terran hung from his bunk using 3 arms while the 4th held a datapad. Ressa performed some kind of stretching routine that looked painful. Dov cleaned his equipment with methodical precision. What exactly is loadout familiarization? Liam asked. Terran looked down from his inverted position. They give us full combat gear and make us carry it across rough terrain. 5 kilometers, I think. 2-hour limit. That doesn't sound too bad. They calibrate the weight for each species. Fair but challenging, they say. Terran's expression shifted to something like concern. Last cycle, half the cadets failed to complete it. Many had to be carried back by medical teams. How much weight are we talking about? For you? Probably 40 units. That is what they assigned to the Kelvin cadets, and your species seems similarly built. Terran swung down to land gracefully on the floor. I have 50 units because of my additional arms. Ressa has 35 due to her lighter frame. Liam did quick mental calculations. 40 units translated to roughly 30 kilograms in Earth measurements, 66 pounds. He had carried heavier packs on weekend camping trips in the Sierra Nevada without thinking twice about it. His father's toolbox weighed more than that, and Liam hauled it around the shop all day. But looking around at his new companions, seeing how seriously they took this challenge, Liam decided to keep that observation to himself. No point in making waves on his first day. Besides, maybe he was missing something. Maybe the terrain would be incredibly difficult, or the gear awkwardly distributed, or any number of factors he hadn't considered. Get some rest, human, Ressa said without looking at him. Tomorrow we'll test whether your species belongs here. Liam lay back on his bunk and stared at the ceiling. Through the viewport, stars glittered against the black. More stars than he had ever seen from Earth's surface. Somewhere out there was home, a small blue world that suddenly seemed very far away. He thought about his father probably closing up the shop right now. His mother would be making dinner, humming to herself the way she always did. His younger sister was likely complaining about homework. Normal life continuing without him. Tomorrow would bring challenges. That was fine. Liam had never backed down from hard work. Whatever the academy threw at him, he would handle it. He would make Earth proud. He would prove that humans belonged among the stars. Sleep came slowly in the unfamiliar darkness, while around him alien beings dreamed alien dreams, and the station hummed its endless song through the void. Dawn came artificially to Eaton Station, lights gradually brightening to simulate planetary sunrise. Liam woke to the sound of movement throughout the barracks as 200 cadets prepared for their first real test. His body felt rested, almost too energetic, like he had slept for days instead of hours. The training grounds occupied an entire section of the station, carved out of the ring's interior with remarkable attention to detail. Hills rolled across the artificial landscape, some steep enough to require climbing. Obstacles dotted the terrain, walls to scale, ditches to cross, narrow beams suspended over empty space. The far end disappeared into a simulated forest of strange alien trees that swayed despite the absence of wind. Commander Halleck stood at the starting point, arms crossed over his massive chest. Behind him, equipment handlers moved between stacks of gear, checking items against datapads and making final adjustments. Each piece of equipment glowed with a faint marking that Liam's translator identified as species-specific tags. Form ranks. Halleck's voice could have shattered steel. The cadets assembled in neat rows organized by barracks units. Liam stood between Terran and Ressa, very aware of how different his body looked compared to everyone around him. Terran's forearms moved restlessly. Ressa stood perfectly still, her reptilian face unreadable. Dov clicked quietly, probably running calculations. Today you learn what it means to be coalition soldiers, Halleck began. Warriors do not fight naked. You carry weapons, armor, supplies, medical equipment, communication gear, survival tools. All of this has weight. All of this must be transported across hostile terrain under combat conditions. He gestured to the equipment behind him. You will each receive loadouts calibrated to your species' baseline capabilities. The course is 5 kilometers with varied terrain. Standard time limit is 2 hours. Those who fail will repeat this exercise until they succeed or wash out of the program. A cold silence followed those words. Equipment handlers, distribute gear. The process took 20 minutes. Cadets moved forward in groups, receiving packs that had been custom-fitted to their body types. Liam watched a small avian species receive a harness that distributed weight across their wings. A centaur-like being got dual packs for their long back. Aquatic species in environment suits received waterproof containers. When Liam's turn came, the handler checked his tag and pulled a standard military pack from the human-designated pile. It looked ordinary enough. Gray-green fabric, multiple pouches, sturdy straps. The handler helped him put it on, adjusting the fit with practiced efficiency. 40 units exactly, the handler said. Weapons simulator, 3 days water, standard rations, medical kit, shelter components, and communication equipment. Everything a soldier needs, Liam settled the pack on his shoulders. It had weight, sure, but less than he expected. Comfortable weight, distributed properly across his back and hips. Nothing that would slow him down. Around him, other cadets were struggling into their gear with varying degrees of difficulty. Taryn needed all 4 arms just to manage the straps. Ressa adjusted her pack 3 times before satisfied. Even some of the larger species looked strained. Cadets to the starting line. They moved forward in a mass. 200 beings from across the galaxy, all carrying what their species considered a challenging load. Liam noticed he was moving easier than most, had to consciously slow down to match the group's pace. Begin. The first kilometer was gentle terrain, rolling hills designed to warm up muscles. Within 5 minutes, patterns emerged. The stronger species pushed ahead, building early leads. Average cadets settled into sustainable paces. The weaker ones already showed signs of struggle. Liam found himself in an awkward middle position. The pack barely registered as burden. His breathing remained steady. His legs felt strong, his pace wanted to increase. But speeding ahead would draw attention, mark him as different. He had learned young that being too different brought problems. So he stayed near Taryn, matching the Quailoth's pace even though everything in him wanted to run. Doing well. Taryn panted after the first kilometer. Sweat gleamed on his blue skin. Better than I expected for your first time. You too, Liam said, not breathing hard at all. Ressa had pulled ahead slightly, her reptilian endurance showing. Dov moved with mechanical efficiency, his insectoid body handling the weight through distributed load points. Other cadets spread across the course in struggling lines. The second kilometer introduced obstacles. Walls to climb over, trenches to navigate, balance beams to cross. Here the differences became more apparent. Species with natural climbing abilities excelled. Those built for flat terrain struggled. Liam approached a 2-meter wall and jumped, catching the top edge easily and pulling himself over. The pack shifted but didn't unbalance him. He landed lightly on the other side and kept moving. Behind him, Taryn needed all 4 arms and visible effort to manage the same obstacle. By kilometer 3, cadets were falling behind in significant numbers. A delicate species with crystalline skin sat beside the path, breathing hard, medical monitors already attached. 2 aquatic beings had removed their environment suits' weights, technically disqualifying themselves. Others simply moved at crawls, determination keeping them going despite obvious exhaustion. Taryn had stopped making jokes. His breathing came in harsh gasps. All 4 arms hung loose when not actively needed for obstacles. You can do this, Liam encouraged. Less than halfway now. Easy for you to say, Taryn wheezed. You are not even sweating. Liam realized this was true. His shirt felt dry, his breathing remained easy, his muscles warmed but not tired. The pack might as well have been empty. Something was wrong with this picture. Or right, depending on perspective. Kilometer 4 brought the steepest hills. This was where cadets truly began to fail. Liam watched beings twice his size struggle up inclines that felt like gentle slopes to him. Ressa had slowed significantly. Her earlier lead evaporated. Dove's mechanical pace had degraded to a labored crawl. A Kelvin cadet named Plix collapsed midway up a hill, the small being's legs simply giving out. The pack crashed down, pinning them. Other cadets moved around the obstacle, too exhausted to help. Liam didn't think. He just moved. He reached Plix in seconds, assessed the situation quickly. The cadet's breathing was rapid and shallow, signs of dangerous exhaustion. Medical teams would arrive eventually, but eventually might be too late. Liam grabbed the pack, lifted it off Plix with one hand, and set it aside. Then he carefully picked up the small cadet with his other arm, surprised at how light they felt. Medical is on the way, he said gently. Plix's eyes focused on him with confusion. How are you carrying me? Your pack? Liam looked down. His pack still sat securely on his back. Plix weighed maybe 15 kilograms. Together with his 40-unit pack, he was carrying about 60 kilograms total. Still less than some backpacking trips, he remembered. I have got you, was all he said. Medical arrived within minutes. Efficiency drones appearing from access ports. They took Plix carefully, scanners already working. One of the medics looked at Liam with interest. You carried the cadet in your full pack? Just until you got here. Impressive for a human. The medic's tone suggested this was noteworthy, but Liam didn't know why. He returned to the course, aware now of eyes watching him. Commander Halleck stood on a monitoring platform in the distance. his massive form unmistakable. Even from here, Liam could feel the weight of that stare. He finished the course in 90 minutes, well within the time limit. Terran crossed at 1 hour 58 minutes, collapsing immediately after. Ressa made it with 3 minutes to spare, her pride keeping her upright despite visible exhaustion. 40% of the cadets failed to complete the course. Later, as they recovered in the barracks, Terran looked at Liam with new awareness. "You were not struggling at all today, were you?" Liam considered lying, decided against it. "Not really, no. Why not?" "I honestly do not know. But that night, Commander Hallex accessed Earth's planetary database and everything changed." Liam stood at attention in the briefing room, suddenly very aware of how small he was compared to the instructors surrounding him. Commander Hallex sat at the head of the table, flanked by the Academy's senior staff. A holographic display floated between them, showing Earth rotating slowly in blue and green and white. Numbers scrolled beside the image. Most meant nothing to Liam, but one stood out clearly: 9.8 ms2. He recognized it from high school physics. Earth's gravitational acceleration. Cadet Hayes. Hallex's voice was neutral, revealing nothing. "Do you know what these numbers represent?" "Some of them, sir. That one is Earth's gravity. And do you know what that means in Coalition standard measurements?" "No, sir." A Quiloth instructor, smaller than Terran but with the same forearms, leaned forward. "It means your homeworld has 1.0 G by Coalition baseline. For reference, the average member world has between 0.4 and 0.7 G. The words hung in the air while Liam processed them. "I don't understand, sir." "Your planet's gravity is nearly double the galactic average," Hallex said slowly. "In some cases more than double. Perrin, where Cadet Terran originates, has 0.5 G. Sarkin Prime, Cadet Ressa's homeworld, has 0.6 G. A xenobiologist spoke from the corner, her voice clinical. "Every species evolves to match their environment. Muscle density, bone structure, cardiovascular efficiency, all calibrated by selective pressure. You, Cadet Hayes, evolved in an environment that most Coalition species would find crushing. But it is just normal to me," Liam said. "Exactly." The xenobiologist pulled up comparison charts. "Look at these scans from your entry physical. Your bone density is 40% higher than the galactic baseline. Your muscle fiber composition shows significantly greater fast twitch development. Your cardiovascular system operates at pressures we would consider dangerous." "We reviewed the exercise footage," another instructor added. "You carried 40 units across 5 kilometers without elevated heart rate, without significant respiratory stress, without muscular fatigue. Then you lifted a Kelvin cadet and their equipment with one arm while maintaining your own full pack." Liam remembered Plix's lightweight body. They were not that heavy. To you, perhaps. To most of us, that would require 2 people working together. Hallex stood, his full height impressive. "We also pulled your planet's environmental data. Your world is classified as a Class 7 high-stress environment. What does that mean?" "It means Earth is a deathworld, Cadet." The word hit like a physical blow. Deathworld, it sounded dramatic, like something from old science fiction novels. But the instructors' faces showed no humor, only careful observation of his reaction. "I don't understand how Earth is a death world. People live there. Billions of people. We have cities, farms, families. And you have predators that hunt in packs," the xenobiologist said. "Weather systems that generate winds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. Seismic activity that levels entire regions. Temperature ranges from -40 to +50 Celsius. Your planet's atmosphere has oxygen levels that would be toxic to many species. Your oceans have pressures that would crush most Coalition vessels. But those are just normal hazards. We deal with them." "Exactly," Hallex repeated. "You deal with them because your species evolved to survive them. You're adapted to conditions that would kill most of us within hours." Liam thought about home. Nevada's desert heat, winter storms in the mountains. His friend who got charged by a black bear while hiking. Were those experiences really so different from everyone else's normal? "Am I in trouble, sir?" "Trouble? No, confused?" "Yes, and that confusion is mutual." Hallex gestured at the display. "We have trained thousands of cadets from hundreds of species. We have protocols, baselines, understanding. Then humans arrive and our measurements prove inadequate. We thought the initial assessments contained errors," another instructor said. "So we recalibrated equipment, ran new tests, consulted with xenobiologists across the Coalition. Every result confirmed the same conclusion. Humans are significantly stronger than the galactic average. How much stronger? Based on preliminary data, approximately 40 to 60% above baseline in most physical metrics. In some categories higher. The number seemed impossible. Liam had never felt particularly strong back home. He worked hard, sure, but so did everyone. His father could lift more. His high school's football team had guys who made him look small. There are other deathworld species, Hallex continued. The Bragan, my people, evolved on a high-gravity world. We serve primarily in heavy assault roles. The Trachicon have natural armor and strength. Each brings unique capabilities to coalition forces. So what happens now? Do I get different training? The instructors exchanged glances. Hallex answered carefully. That is what we are determining. The challenge is integration. The coalition's strength comes from unity, from species learning to work together. Separate training programs contradict that philosophy. But continuing current protocols is ineffective, the xenobiologist said. You are not being challenged appropriately. Meanwhile, other cadets witness capabilities they perceive as unfair advantages. I did not ask for any advantages. We know. Your confusion appears genuine, which actually helps. Had you been deliberately hiding your capabilities, this would be much more complicated. May I speak freely, sir? Hallex nodded. I just want to train. I want to serve. I want to prove that humans can contribute to the coalition. If that means carrying heavier packs or running longer courses or whatever accommodations are needed, fine. But please don't separate me from my unit. Taryn, Ressa, Dov. They are the first real friends I have made here. Something shifted in Hallex's expression, a softening almost invisible behind his warrior's face. You are dismissed, Cadet Hayes. Return to your barracks. We will announce our decisions tomorrow. Liam saluted and left, his mind spinning with the revelation that his normal was everyone else's extreme. The barracks felt different when he entered. Conversation stopped. Eyes followed him. Word had spread, as word always did in closed communities. The human was different. The human was strong. The human was dangerous. Taryn sat on his bunk, all four arms crossed. Ressa stood nearby, her posture defensive. Dov's antennae twitched with agitation. Is it true? Taryn asked. Your planet's gravity is almost double ours. That is what they told me. And you really did not know? How could I know? It was just normal to me. Ressa's eyes narrowed. Explain to me again how you struggled on that course yesterday. Because I watched you. You were not even breathing hard. I didn't want to stand out. So you lied. I withheld. There is a difference. Not to me. The hurt in her voice stung worse than anger would have. Liam realized his attempt to fit in had created the exact opposite result. By hiding his capabilities, he had bred distrust. Now they looked at him and saw not a friend but something other, something that had deceived them. I am sorry, he said quietly. I should have been honest. Yes, Ressa agreed. You should have been. She turned away, conversation ended. Taryn looked between them, conflict clear on his face, then climbed into his bunk without another word. Dov simply moved to the far side of the barracks. Liam lay in his bunk, staring at the ceiling, feeling more alone than he had on his first night. Back then he had been isolated by strangeness. Now he was isolated by difference. He wasn't sure which was worse. 2 weeks passed like a slow poison spreading through Liam's daily life. Training continued with new protocols that nobody quite knew how to implement. Instructors watched him constantly, adjusting his loadouts upward, adding complexity to his exercises, trying to find the point where he would struggle. That point remained frustratingly elusive. Meanwhile, social structures shifted and hardened. Other cadets chose partners for team exercises, and somehow Liam always ended up last. Groups formed for study sessions, and invitations never came his way. The dining hall developed invisible boundaries that placed him at tables where conversation died when he sat down. Taryn still spoke to him, brief exchanges about logistics and schedule changes, but the easy friendship had evaporated. Ressa became ice, communicating only when training required it. Dov avoided him entirely. New human cadets arrived as Earth continued sending representatives. Lucy Ward came from Australia, practical and blunt in a way that made Liam's cautious approach seem cowardly by comparison. She took one look at the social dynamics and laughed. They are scared of us, she said over lunch at one of the isolated tables. Look at them. We can lift what they cannot, run farther, work longer. We are every species' nightmare about being replaced. I don't want to replace anyone. Does not matter what you want. Matters what they fear. Lucy bit into something that approximated a sandwich. You tried to hide it, be small, fit in. How did that work? Badly. Right. So maybe stop apologizing for being human. But that was easier said than done. Liam watched other species struggle with tasks he found trivial and felt guilt. Not pride, just guilt that his normal was their impossible. The combat simulation arena became his least favorite place. Team exercises meant working with cadets who clearly wished they had different partners. Liam tried to hold back, let others take the lead, contribute without dominating. This satisfied no one. If you are going to be on my team, Ressa snapped during one exercise, at least be useful. I am trying not to make you feel inadequate. I do not need your pity. Deathworlder. The word landed like a slap. Others had used it, usually behind his back, but never directly to his face. Deathworlder. Not human, not person, just a category defined by his planet's environment. I never pitied you, Liam said quietly. Then why hold back? Why pretend to struggle when we all know you are not even trying? Her eyes flashed with genuine anger. You think being weak makes us feel better? It makes us feel patronized. She stalked off before he could respond, leaving Liam in the middle of the simulation arena with a half-completed objective and no idea how to fix anything. That evening, a group formed in the barracks common area. Garen, a Quailoth from the advanced training cohort, spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. The integration experiment has failed, he announced. Deathworlders should train separately, where their advantages do not make a mockery of our efforts. They are cadets like anyone else, someone objected weakly. Are they? Watch Hayes climb. Watch him carry. Watch him do in 5 minutes what takes us 30. How is that like anyone else? So we should punish people for their biology? I am saying we should acknowledge reality. The coalition preaches equality. But how equal are we when some species are built for war and others for peace? Garen's forearms gestured emphatically. Humans in Bragan and Trackcon should train together. Let them compete among themselves. Give the rest of us fair comparisons. The argument continued, voices rising, but Liam had heard enough. He left through a side corridor, needing distance from the debate about whether he belonged. The observation deck was nearly empty at this hour. Liam found a quiet corner and stared at the stars, trying to find Earth in the overwhelming black. His communicator held messages from home that he had not yet answered. What could he tell them? That humanity's integration into galactic society was going poorly because evolution had played them a cruel trick? Thought I might find you here. Lucy approached with 2 containers of something warm. She offered one to Liam, who accepted it gratefully. Hot chocolate substitute, she explained. Close enough to comfort food. They sat in silence for a while, watching stars drift past the viewport. Heard Garen's speech, Lucy said eventually. He is not completely wrong. You think we should be segregated? I think the coalition has no idea how to handle actual diversity. They want everyone to be equal, but equal does not mean identical. They have built a system that works when differences are small and breaks when differences are significant. So what do? Survive. Prove we are worth the trouble. Wait for them to figure out that strong does not mean enemy. Lucy shrugged. Or wash out and go home. Those are the options. You ever regret coming? Every day. Then I remember what I left behind. Dead-end job, no prospects, life planned out in boring detail. At least here I am failing at something interesting. Liam laughed despite himself. That is a terrible way to look at things. But honest. The next day brought partnered climbing exercises. Ropes, harnesses, sheer walls that required trust between climbers. Liam was paired with Ressa by instructor mandate, neither of them happy about the arrangement. The course started simple, warm-up walls with good handholds. Ressa climbed with reptilian grace, her clawed hands finding purchase easily. Liam followed, checking safety lines, providing backup as protocol required. Then they reached the smooth metal section, designed to challenge even species with natural climbing advantages. Ressa's claws skittered across the surface, finding nothing to grip. She hung from her harness, breathing hard, unable to progress. I can boost you, Liam offered. I do not need your help. The exercise requires both climbers to complete the course. That means we help each other. You think I cannot tell the difference between cooperation and charity? Right now I think you're too proud to accept a hand up. She hissed something in her native language that the translator wisely declined to interpret. But she also did not argue further when Liam climbed beside her, braced himself against the wall and offered his shoulder as a step. Ressa weighed maybe 50 kilograms. Liam barely felt it when she used him to reach the next section. She completed the climb. He followed. They descended in tense silence. At the bottom, Ressa removed her harness with sharp, angry movements. I hate that I needed your help. I hate that it was easy for you. I hate that hating it makes me small. You are not small. You are honest. Honest enough to say I do not know how to be your friend when being near you reminds me of my limitations. She walked away, leaving Liam with the worst kind of truth. Not anger he could fight, but hurt he had caused simply by existing. That night, alarms shattered the quiet routine, and everything changed. Emergency lights painted the corridor in urgent red. Liam was pulling on his boots when Commander Halleck's voice boomed through station-wide speakers. All cadets to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Structural failure in Section 7. Civilian workers trapped under collapsed scaffolding. Engineering estimates debris weight at 200 units. Rescue equipment is 10 minutes away. We need volunteers for manual extraction. 200 units. Liam's mind translated automatically. Roughly 150 kilograms. The kind of weight that would require teams working together. Multiple people coordinating to lift and brace and extract. Around him, cadets scrambled into emergency positions. Most headed to designated safe zones following disaster protocols. Some grabbed medical supplies. A few, the brave or foolish ones, moved toward Section 7 to help. Liam saw Lucy already running down the corridor. Their eyes met for half a second, understanding passing between them without words. They both knew what they had to do. Section 7 was chaos. Emergency lighting strobed across buckled metal and exposed wiring. Smoke hung in the air, making visibility poor. Through the haze, Liam could see the collapsed maintenance platform, a twisted mass of steel beams and composite panels. Underneath, faint cries for help. Commander Halleck stood coordinating rescue efforts, directing cadets to establish perimeters and prepare medical stations. His expression was grim. 10 minutes felt like forever when people were dying. Sir? Liam approached with Lucy beside him. We can help with the debris. Halleck looked at them, calculation visible behind his eyes. The main support beam is estimated at 170 units. Our engineering teams need specialized equipment to safely move it without causing secondary collapse. How much time do the trapped workers have? Medical scanners show one in critical condition. Maybe 5 minutes. Liam moved to the debris before anyone could stop him. Lucy followed. Together they assessed the twisted metal structure, looking for the key piece that held everything else in place. There. Lucy pointed. That beam. If we can lift and brace it, the rest becomes accessible. It is going to be heavy. Good thing we are deathworlders. They positioned themselves on opposite sides of the main beam. Liam tested the weight, feeling the metal's resistance. 170 units meant roughly 130 kilograms. 65 kilograms each if they split it evenly. He had deadlifted more than that back in his high school gym. On 3, Lucy said. 1, 2, 3, they lifted. The metal groaned but rose. Liam's muscles burned with real effort for the first time since arriving at the academy. His legs drove upward, back straight. Lifting form automatic from years of his father teaching proper technique in the repair shop. Beside him, Lucy strained with equal effort, her face tight with concentration. Hold it. An engineering team rushed forward with support braces. But before they could position the equipment, a secondary collapse began. Smaller debris shifted, threatening to crush the trapped workers before extraction could occur. Terran appeared from somewhere, all 4 arms grabbing at falling panels. His strength was not enough to stop the collapse, but enough to slow it. Ressa darted into the gap with her small frame, reptilian reflexes letting her navigate the dangerous space. Dov was there too, his precise movements clearing a path. We have got visual on the workers, Ressa called from inside the debris field. I can reach them, but I cannot move them alone. How much time? Halleck demanded. Seconds. Liam made a decision.
Lucy, can you hold this?
Not alone. Terran moved into position, his forearms providing additional support points. I have her. Go. Liam released his side of the beam carefully, feeling Terran take the strain. The Quailoth's arms trembled but held. Lucy's jaw was clenched tight, but she nodded. They had this. Liam crawled into the debris field following Ressa's guidance. The space was tight, unstable. designed to kill anyone foolish enough to enter. Above him, metal creaked ominously. He found the first worker, a Kelvin engineer unconscious but breathing. Liam lifted them carefully, passed them back to waiting hands. The second worker was awake, terrified, babbling in a language the translator struggled to parse. Liam got them moving toward the exit. The third worker was pinned by a secondary support, a piece of equipment pressing down on their lower body. Moving it wrong could cause lethal injury. Moving it right required strength and precision. Ressa, guide my hands, she positioned him, her medical training evident. Lift straight up, no lateral movement. I will pull them free once pressure releases. Liam gripped the metal. It was awkward weight, unbalanced, dangerous. He lifted anyway, muscles screaming protest. The metal rose. Ressa pulled the worker free in one smooth motion. Clear! They scrambled out as the debris field completed its collapse behind them. Medical teams swarmed the injured workers, scanners flashing, emergency procedures initiated. All three would survive. Liam sat against the corridor wall, his hands shaking from sustained exertion. His shirt was soaked with sweat. Every muscle felt like it had been wrung out and hung to dry. Lucy collapsed beside him, breathing hard. Taryn was on the floor, all forearms spread out, visibly exhausted. Commander Hallex approached slowly. He looked at Liam, then at Lucy, then at the debris field where impossibly heavy metal had been lifted by people who should not have been strong enough. Cadet Hayes, you just deadlifted approximately 170 units for 40 seconds. Our strongest Bragan warriors can manage 80 for 20. Liam had no response. His body hurt too much to care about comparisons. Every species in the coalition brings something unique. Hallex's voice carried across the corridor, addressing all the assembled cadets. Some bring speed, some bring precision, some bring adaptability. Humans bring strength, and today that strength saved 3 lives. Garen stepped forward from the crowd. His forearms hung differently now, less aggressive, more uncertain. He looked at Liam, really looked, seeing perhaps for the first time not a threat but a person who had just risked everything to save strangers. I was wrong about you, deathworlder. He extended 2 of his 4 hands in the traditional Quelath gesture of respect. We are supposed to be a team. Liam took the offered hands, surprised by how much the gesture meant. Ressa appeared beside him, her reptilian face showing something that might have been respect. You pulled that worker out knowing the collapse could kill you. That was either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. Probably. She paused. Thank you. For being the shoulder I stepped on earlier. For being the strength I could not provide just now. For being human when we needed humans. Taryn crawled over, too exhausted to stand. Can we agree that gravity is stupid and your planet should be illegal? Despite everything, Liam laughed. Around him, other cadets were laughing too, the tension breaking like a fever. They were not friends yet, not really, but they were something. Team members who had survived crisis together. That was a start. Morning came differently after the rescue. Liam woke to find Taryn already up, practicing some kind of meditation routine with all 4 arms moving in synchronized patterns. Ressa was organizing equipment with her usual precision, but when she noticed Liam watching, she nodded. Just a small acknowledgement, but more than she had given in weeks. Your arm still hurt? Taryn asked without opening his eyes. Like someone ran them through a trash compactor. Good. Means you are mortal like the rest of us. I was starting to wonder. Dov clicked from his bunk, the translator rendering it as dry humor. Mortals who can lift small vehicles, perhaps. The barracks had changed in subtle ways. Conversations did not stop when Liam entered. Other cadets made eye contact, some even nodding acknowledgement. Nobody was throwing celebration parties for the humans, but the wall of hostility had cracked. Training resumed with new dynamics. Instructors had stopped trying to make Liam fit the standard templates and instead focused on finding useful applications for human capabilities. Heavy equipment transport, rescue operations, situations where raw strength solved problems that finesse could not. But more importantly, they began designing exercises that required mixed species cooperation. The obstacle course that morning demonstrated the new approach. Commander Hallex explained the rules with his usual bluntness. This course cannot be completed by any single species. You will work in assigned teams. Success requires using each member's natural advantages. Failure teaches nothing except stubbornness. Liam's team included Taryn, Ressa, and Dov. The same barracks unit that had started this journey together, now forced to actually cooperate. The first obstacle was a chasm too wide for jumping, spanned by a narrow beam. Dov crossed easily, his insectoid body built for balance. He secured a safety line that the others could use. The second obstacle was a wall with handholds too far apart for most species to manage. Liam went first, reaching holds that required his height and strength. He anchored at the top and provided assistance to Terran, whose forearms needed coordination more than raw power. The third obstacle was a crawl space too narrow for Liam's human frame, but perfect for Ressa's sleek reptilian body. She navigated through, unlocking a door that opened the next section. The fourth obstacle required lifting a heavy barrier while simultaneously solving a puzzle. Liam provided the muscle, holding 100 units of dead weight steady while Dov's analytical mind solved the combination lock. They finished in the top quarter of teams. Not first place, but respectable. More importantly, they finished as a unit that had worked together instead of despite each other. Not bad for a mixed species crew, Terran said afterward, breathing hard but satisfied. We could have been faster, Ressa noted. The climbing section took too long. I slowed everyone down on the crawl space, Liam admitted. Then we train and improve. Dov's clicks had a tone that might have been approval. That is what teams do. Over the following weeks, the squad developed rhythms and understanding. Terran taught Liam climbing techniques that used leverage instead of just strength. Ressa shared speed drills that improved his reaction time. Dov helped him analyze tactical situations more efficiently. In return, Liam taught them about Earth, about a world where weather could kill and animals hunted in packs and gravity was a constant oppressive weight. They began to understand that deathworld did not mean superior, just different, adapted to circumstances that seemed nightmarish to species from gentler places. Lucy integrated into another squad, her direct personality meshing well with a group of combat-focused cadets. Sometimes the two human squads trained together, demonstrating techniques that worked for their specific physiology. The academy began recruiting more widely, seeking other species from challenging environments. A pair of Trachicon arrived with natural armor and strength comparable to humans. 3 Bragan transferred from heavy assault training, their experience valuable for integrated unit tactics. What had been an experiment in whether humans could integrate became a model for how diverse species could work together, not by pretending differences did not exist, but by acknowledging them and finding complementary roles. Garen approached Liam in the dining hall one evening, his earlier hostility transformed into curious respect. I owe you an apology, he said, settling his bulk into a reinforced chair. I saw your strength as threat when I should have seen it as tool. People fear what they do not understand. I get it, still wrong of me. My homeworld has low gravity, peaceful conditions. We evolved for cooperation, not conflict. Strength makes me nervous because in my species the strong dominate the weak. Not all species work that way. I am learning that. Humans have strength but use it to protect rather than dominate. At least you and Lucy do. That is worth respecting. They talked for an hour, comparing experiences, finding common ground. By the end, Garen had introduced Liam to 3 other Quailoth cadets, expanding the network of actual friendships beyond the immediate squad. The final evaluation came at the end of the training cycle, a comprehensive exercise that combined combat, rescue, tactical planning, and survival skills. The scenario was brutal. Hostile forces, civilian casualties, environmental hazards, limited resources. Liam's squad executed with practiced efficiency. He handled heavy lifting and force application. Terran coordinated communications and logistics with his multiple limbs. Ressa provided close combat expertise and reconnaissance. Dov analyzed threats and calculated optimal strategies. They achieved the second highest score in Academy history, beaten only by a Bragan heavy assault team that had trained together for 3 years. Commander Hallex presented their commendations personally. You have proven something important. Not that humans are strong, we knew that. But that strength serves best as part of a team, not separate from it. We learn from everyone here, sir, Liam said. Terran taught me patience. Ressa taught me precision. Dov taught me to think before acting. I just provided the muscle. You provided more than that. You provided example. Next cycle's cadets will enter an academy that understands diversity as strength rather than complication. Hallex handed them data pads showing their first assignments. You ship out together in 3 days. Coalition patrol vessel, mixed species crew, frontier sectors. That evening, the squad gathered on the observation deck one last time as cadets. Earth hung in the viewscreen's corner, a small blue dot among millions of stars. Strange to think we almost did not become friends, Taryn said quietly. We needed time to see past the differences, Ressa said. And nearly die together, Dov added. That helped. Crisis has a way of clarifying things, Liam agreed. Lucy joined them with another group of cadets, humans and aliens mixed together in easy conversation. The observation deck had become neutral ground where species shared food from their homeworlds and stories from their cultures. You ready for patrol duty? Lucy asked. Ready as we can be, you? They are sending my squad to training outpost near the outer rim. Should be interesting. Try not to lift any ships while you are there, says the man who deadlifted a building. They laughed, the sound mixing with other conversations in other languages, creating harmony from diversity. 3 days later, Liam stood in the docking bay with his squad, watching cargo load onto their assigned vessel. The ship was standard coalition design, built for long patrols and mixed crews. Somewhere inside was their quarters, their duty stations, their future. Taryn nudged him with one elbow. Think you are ready to serve? No idea. But I know I am not serving alone. Good answer. Ressa's rare smile appeared briefly, because none of us know what we are doing either. Statistically speaking, Dov clicked, first assignments are designed to be manageable with appropriate supervision and support structure. Where is the fun in manageable? Taryn asked. They boarded together, a human, a Quiloth, a Sarkanian, and a Hiver. 4 beings from different worlds carrying different strengths, bound by shared experience and mutual respect. The ship launched, carrying them toward whatever challenges waited in the black. But they would face those challenges as they had learned to face everything, not as individuals competing against each other, but as a team where every difference was a strength, and every strength was shared. Behind them, Ayton Station continued its endless work, training the next generation of coalition defenders. Cadets from 100 worlds learned to work together, learned that diversity meant capability, learned that differences could unite rather than divide. And somewhere in the Nevada desert, Liam's father looked up at the night sky, wondering about the son who had left to prove humanity's place among the stars. If he could have seen Liam now, surrounded by alien friends heading toward uncertain danger with confidence and purpose, he would have understood. His son had not just found his place. He had helped create a space where everyone belonged,